Hello to Buku Auto audience. Today, me and Tyler, we're going to be talking about our first year drifting, which mostly consists at NOLA Motorsports Park.
So what have you learned from this little adventure, Dorothy?
And we drifted in the MX83 Cressida that we had been working on. I want to preface something. So, I've had a little bit of drifting experience before this year. Back in the late 2000s, I was drifting some of the events, No Drift, and others like Chris Carver were holding, mostly at the Evoc Center and No Problem Raceway, in my MX73, last year.
Carl with the Cressida. The lonely Cressida. Looking pretty good.
But back then, no one really knew what they were doing in terms of drifting. Like, we didn't have the information we have today. Also, no one had angle kits. There wasn't really a talk of angle kits back then as much as it is today. So back then, I probably formed a lot of bad habits, more than anything. Hey, talking here. Anyway, so one of the big things this year is I had to learn to overcome those things. And one of the things I had to overcome was I would always put in throttle and steering at the wrong time, and I was doing it in the wrong order, so it was always messing me up. That was one of the big things I had to overcome. But the first drift day we went to, which was in May, Tyler actually was sick, so he didn't show up, and that was the car fully stock, auto, stock suspension, just with a welded diff, and it was a lot of learning experience. Learning how the car reacted. And at 30 miles per hour because we were in auto, so it wasn't that fast. But by the end of the day, I started to get some things here and there. The only real issue with the car was the battery kind of slid a little bit, even though it was tied down, and took the fan shroud and kind of bowed it a little bit, which caused the fan to hit the fan shroud and mess it up. And since it couldn't spin at the proper speed, a little overheating, but not overheating, just got hot. So now fan shroud's gone, so we don't need it. Fan shroud's gone, so we don't need it anymore, and it's been working fine ever since. And then after that, I put a bigger aluminum radiator in. Also, then for the next event, which was in October, Tyler was not sick for that. We had coilovers on it in the welded diff. Car worked great Saturday. I got a lot of seat time. Progressed even more, was drifting more of it, starting to connect turns because no body roll. The issue there was kind of the car kind of had a problem on Sunday. It is bent. See that? Probably from it flopping around in here. So yeah, probably should get a whole new cap and rotor. So Tyler didn't get to drive Sunday, but he did at EYB. I drove a little bit at EYB as well, mostly Saturday. When Jacob was having issues with the car, and he wasn't sure if it was the car or him or anything. But yeah, learned a lot, overcame a lot of the bad traits, which was mostly timing of when to hit the gas and when to steer and when, counter steering. Once I was in drift, I was fine. It was getting into drift was the big thing for me. And then after that, it was timing when to enter drift so that I could carry myself through the turn and then potentially connect to the next turn. But yeah, I think the other issue I had probably was staying in my seat. Yeah, big guy here. Thing I ended up solving was just ratcheting strap my belly to the seat. Probably not the most safest thing, but it worked. But yeah, Tyler, why don't you let them know about your experiences this year? Let them know how things were for you.
Okay, so if I had to sum up this past year in one word, it would be learning. Now, I learned on 3 different things, right? I learned 1, on how to actually drift. 2, how to really work on the Cressida and the Supra. And 3, time management, right? So, this isn't really my full-time job, obviously. I mean, we're not an FD or anything. So, I do have a full-time job. I work 4 12-hour shifts, and then I come down here and work with Carl for 3 days.
Tyler, can you help me get this one started? Thank you.
So yeah, I work 4 12-hour shifts, and then I come down here and I work 3 days, and I go right back up And
Sorry.
and I work another 4 days of 12-hour shifts. It's more of I've just had to learn to time manage everything and to choose when and where to exert energy over the week, right? So that was one thing I had to learn.
Here I come.
So that was one thing I had to learn. Two is pretty self-explanatory.
Wasn't me.
I'm not a mechanic, right? So I've been spending a lot of time learning on how to work on the Cressida and the Supra, which is brand new to me, right? I mean, before this, the most I could do would be maybe an oil change, and then number 3.
Tyler, could you help me again with this one? Thank you.
Then learning how to drift, right? That's what everyone kind of struggles with when they first start. I am definitely not excluded in that. So I do have a sim rig. I first started off with the Logitech G920. Yeah, G920. It didn't really have enough force feedback that when I would transition from one direction to another that it would self-steer. Like the Cressida has a good bit of self-steer. So it wasn't really a one-to-one with the Cressida. I would say that the sim really helped with timing and what to do with your feet, really. I have since swapped to...
Hey, I did one myself.
I have since swapped to Sim Magic, so that helps a lot there, right? But that being said, when I finally got in the car at EYB, it seemed like everything just kind of snapped in, right? I obviously had to deal with first-time jitters and all that good stuff, but I could see where the timing from the sim rig definitely helped.
What else is there to do but wait?
So just to explain, I bought the Cressida over a year ago, and one of the things me and him kind of worked out was I'll buy the parts if he comes helps and put them on. So it's a cooperative thing where we both do work on the cars, and as you can see, building this thing, it's about 50-50 percent my labor and his labor. And because of that, he gets to work on I mean, use the car at drift events and such, and we split tire costs, things like that.
Yeah.
So it's about an even kind of thing. But that's why he got to drive the car. And our friend Jacob got to drive the car because he bought the Supra and all the Supra stuff, and the Supra's not ready. But since it wasn't ready, it's like, hey, why don't you come for the drift event? The car's still auto because he doesn't know how to drive 5-speed. So it was like all about like, hey, come drive this auto, see if you like drifting, see if there's something you really want to do, and then go forward with that.
There we go. Better. There we go.
I think one of the big reasons me and you did so well, because our friend Jacob didn't do that well in his first
This
day.
aggression will not stand,
I
man.
think it comes down to something I've noticed a lot of people have a problem with when I see them drifting. And even some people who've been drifting for years are doing well, but they always hit this like plateau. And there's a certain level of like aggression you need in drifting.
Be aggressive. Be aggressive.
Like you really have to be able to just go at it all the way and not worry about anything. Like one of the things that I was telling him is like the last few hours of the day on Sunday, we were mostly staying in first gear for the auto, and he was like, hey, that turn that's coming up, don't try to do the little chicane drift part, just go at that first turn, come in for the other turn as fast as you can, pop the gear into second to get, because the auto has to have time to switch to second.
Right, yeah.
And go all full speed, like just send it. Because I've told him numerous times, like, I don't care if he wrecks the car. He should only care if he wrecks the car against a barricade and has to pay the track to fix the barricade. But I told him, I don't care if you wreck the car, because we'll just fix the car, or we'll go get a parts car. We'll figure it out.
He told me that numerous
Yeah, just
times.
kept telling him, like, don't, because that's the thing that will hold you back. if you're worried about wrecking the car, you're always going to be a step back. Now, we don't have a tow truck, but since NOLA Motorsports Park is not far from this house, we could have towed it back home if it was completely destroyed. Now, if I was in Texas, I'd be like, okay, let's, how can we get this home if we do tow it? But I think that's the thing. If you don't have a full commitment mindset of like, I'm going to send this thing 110%, you always will be a step back from progressing. So if you're a person watching this, you've hit a plateau. Think about that. What is holding you back? Is it something mentally inside of you that like you are not overcoming, or some other thing? But just from my advantage, being at the track for the past few years, there's people who are really good, but they haven't progressed any beyond where they have, and it seems like that's the thing when I watch them, because I'm filming everybody drift, and it's like that's what it seems to be. There's just like they're just on the precipice, but they're not jumping off the cliff, so to speak. But that was something Tyler had no problem. Once I told him, like, just go, put it in second, just go. And as soon as he did, he was just lighting up that first turn, and he was connected to the second turn, into the third turn, and almost power and like tire issues. He was kind of like losing a little bit around the fourth turn, but I will admit, on Sunday, he progressed farther than I have. Now, like I said, I had a little bit of experience before, but through the 2 solid days I had done, in one day, he had surpassed me. And I think some of that is...
Aggression is his love language.
Younger, because there's a whole thing about younger people being better at drifting because the synapses or something, reflexes. But I think one of the big things for me that I have to work on is somehow getting me to hold on to the seat. Because he, even though that's a leather seat, not a bucket seat, he was able to hold into it.
Yeah, I had no real problems. So.
But me, even with the strap around my belly, still part of me would, like, it wasn't flying over there to the other side for left-hand turns, but it was a little bit. So I need to work on that, figuring out a solution, because I'm not going to be losing weight. There's another solution I have in mind. The tackle, the sliding in the seat arrangement. Put like this, I've learned to sew. Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah, that's I think that's it for this video. If you have any questions or comments or want to know what we're working on here, like I said, we've been building shelves just to make room for infrastructure. You can't really see it off camera, but we have a little rack. We have tires and wheels on. Just because a lot back here, there wasn't room, so we just kind of needed to like reorganize everything. Spend a couple weekends on infrastructure. So anyway, that's it for this video. Hope you guys
have a good one. Yeah. I thought you said you hurt your back.
Oh yeah, that's right.
This guy. What am I going to do with him?
Taco Bell.